You can't pay that amount. You have to pay the going rate. They talk, you see. If you pay that much, they're all going to want a raise. You pay the going rate, or less if you're clever. If you're clever, you can always catch them out at something. I caught Fiona, red-handed, literally red-handed. My keen sense of smell directed me to her travel pouch that she hangs on the hook in the mudroom. I found hidden leftovers from the previous night's dinner in little baggies. But, ma'am, I was afraid it would go bad before you got to it. Fiona doesn't lie any better than she dusts. Caught, red-handed, stealing food. Not that I care about the food, but it gave me leverage, you see. How dare you? But, ma'am, you have so much. And then, it's for my son. Son? Invented on the spot. Finally, you pay me starvation wages. She knows I pay the going rate. The very definition of the going rate is that it is sufficient. I was careful. I researched. I found out the exact rate and was careful to pay that amount, as should we all be. I had her by the wrist. The other hand is holding onto the telephone like I'm going to call the police. She's trying to get away. The twisty telephone cord is stretching out. She says, "You don't know, ma'am. You have never known hunger." She presumes to know what I have known and what I have not known. It turns out I have known. The twisty telephone cord reminds me. You'll like what I tell her next. As a baby, as a child, as a little girl, I was renowned for my ability to clean my plate and every other plate that wasn't finished at table. Others say the phrase, "I'm full." I had never known that sensation. I ate like a bird, that is to say, constantly during all daylight hours. The one time my parents denied me food, I looted the garbage pail in the garage, resulting in my childhood nickname, Garbage Belly. Garbage Belly. I pictured myself as a truck barreling through the urban streets, picking up bins and dumping the garbage into my truck mouth and compacting it in my truck stomach to make room for more. Garbage Belly forever. You look as astonished as Fiona. Well, it gets better. In school, I was allowed to sit in the back of the classroom with my tubs full of all the various food groups, chewing and learning. One day, a boy during an indoor recess came and sat next to me, staring at my food. "I know magic," he says. "There's no such thing," I reply. "I bet you your lunch," he says. Well, I'm sure that I'll win this wager, so I instantly decide my prize. If I win, you must give me the shirt off your back. I'd heard that phrase, the shirt off your back, and I liked the idea of the boy going shirtless through the rest of the cold afternoon. He hesitates, but my food is too tempting, and he agrees to the terms of the wager. His magic trick. He displays a narrow strip of plain white paper and holds it up. "How many sides?" he says. "2, I say, thinking I've won. "Show me," he says. 1, 2. He takes the two ends of the paper and makes a twisty circle and holds it up. How many sides, he says. 2, I say, thinking nothing has changed. Show me, he says. I put my finger on one side, thinking I'll roll it around till the end and then I'll do the second side. When I come around to where I started, one side, where there had previously been 2, one side with no minusing. Magic. He takes my lunch and leaves me the strip. Open, 2 sides, twisty circle, one side. Twisty, you see? That's why the phone cord had reminded me. Midway through the afternoon, I am overcome with anxiety. I think it's because of the boy and his confounding strip of paper. Then I realize I'm starving. I start to scream. The teacher sends me to the nurse. The nurse calls the parents. The parents send the car. The car takes me home, and I run into the house, knocking down the cook on my way to food. So, and this is the point, I have known hunger. Well, I expect Fiona to have some response to my story, but all she says is, what if there had been no food and no money for food? If there had been no food and no money for food, you would steal. I would rather die. You wouldn't die. You would steal. I bet you couldn't last one day. You bet? This is my chance, you see. You bet? What exactly do you have in mind? She thinks it up on the spot. A fast, she says. A contest. You must go one whole day without food. And when I do, when I go one whole day without food, you must agree to work for less than the going rate. But what if I win, she asks. Well, she won't win, but I have to put something on her side of the wager. I hold up the telephone. If you win, I won't report your crime. Her eyes widen in fear, although I'm not really sure the police actually come when it's leftovers. I don't care about the dollar or whatever the amount is that I'm going to dock her pay, but it's the principle of the thing and the thrill of victory, of course. The clock strikes noon, and we agree to begin immediately, although I would prefer to start after lunch. She starts gathering up all my hidden power bars. She sits down. She's going to watch me. I glance at the clock. No minutes have passed. Well, what of it? I had a substantial breakfast at 8, a hearty second breakfast at 10, and 3 power bars at 11:30. But I probably shouldn't think of food. I shall think of something else. Her, Fiona, my opponent. What do I know about her? Well, her name, her first name, her second name is written down somewhere, but not in the checkbook. I pay her in cash, so I don't have the bother of income tax forms. Her age, well, now that I'm looking closely, as we seem to be engaged in some sort of adolescent staring contest, she's not as old as I thought, or as plain. Light is bouncing off her skin, and her eyes have flecks of gold in them. She's pretty, or She could be if she dressed with a little flair, but no, she's decidedly dour, probably to get more sympathy from her employer. I think I see a smirk on her face, but it isn't a smirk, it's a trick of the light. Her eyes are definitely not smirking. Her eyes are spiraling down. Well, I have nothing better to do. I dive into her eyes. Down we go, into the rabbit hole, but not into darkness. It's kind of a sunlit well with a movie projected on the well walls. It's a movie starring Fiona and an adoring little son. They live in a closet or a small shed. Clean and tidy squalor. No, not squalor. It's meager. That's what it is, meager. Yet they're singing a joyous song. They are about to break into a dance when Fiona, the real Fiona, the Fiona that's in the room with me, turns away. I want to see the dance. But the dance is in the movie, and the movie is in the well, and the well is in her eyes, and her eyes are focused over there. Fiona has turned quite pale. I don't know what she has to be pale about. I'm the one starving. But I have more pressing concerns than the well-being of the maid. I'm jittery. I can't get a deep breath. My tongue is racing around inside my mouth looking for food because it is hungry. I glance at the clock. It's 12:06. I'm 6 minutes into a 1,440-minute contest. I exhale, and it sounds like the last gasp of a dying wolf. Can I get you something, ma'am? Oh. Yes, get me something. Get me some food so that she can win. No, she will not win. I must win. Me. But explosions are going off behind my eyes. I don't know if they're in my head or in the room. I stagger into the standing lamp, and Fiona catches it before it breaks on the floor and settles me back into my chair. I'm keening. 12:14. My eyes tear, my nose runs, drool pours out of my mouth. Our eyes connect again. A chance to see the dance. But my eyes are too wet to see a movie. I can barely make out the expression on her face as she stumbles backwards like she's seen a monster. I don't know what sort of movie she's watching. Fiona fumbles in her pockets. Madam, have a snack. I have them right here. Oh, yes, she's trying to steal my victory the way she stole my leftovers. She begs me to eat and lose. I won't lose. I scream, pant, drool, spit, and I hear her say, "You win, ma'am." I keep screaming. I want her to say it again. "I concede, ma'am. You win." I win? You win, ma'am. Just eat. Eat. I win. I eat. It only took 26 minutes. I win. I don't report her crime. I do reduce her hourly rate. Fair and square, I call it. All is as it was, well, almost. I'm still trying to see the dance at the end of her movie. Every time I try to catch her eye, she averts her gaze. does that really matter? I have a housekeeper for less than the going rate. Who else among us can say that?